Welcome back to another episode of Born Again Bowhunting Podcast. This is a little bit of a bonus episode here on the Table Talk episode we got going on here.
Yep.
Buddy. We're joined with Devin Black, who's in a hotel room right now.
Yeah, you
care to explain?
Yeah, why are you in a hotel room right now, buddy?
Well, unfortunately, I got the, exquisite duty to go to some extra training that I actually really wanted to go to. So I'm here for 2 weeks for this course. I'm in a certain location I can't really say because some of the stuff is secret. It's not supposed to get out, but this is my humble abode that they set me up with. It's pretty great. I get to spend like 4 hours a night here. Study the whole time.
That's awesome.
It's a pretty hard course, so I'm struggling down here. So everybody pray for me. I really need it.
Yeah, we will be. We will be. Why don't you, maybe some of the listeners and viewers don't know your Army background. Why don't you talk about that just for a little bit?
So I joined in 2012. I'm in the Army National Guard. My MOS is 12 Bravo. I'm a combat engineer, so I deal with explosives and stuff and blow a whole lot of stuff up. Basically it. I know it sounds awesome. It was awesome for the first 5 years. Now it's getting old. But
now you've worked your way up in the rankings quite a bit, though, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm always trying to progress. There's a certain point I want to hit. I just got promoted not too long ago, and I go to my next schooling next year. That was the earliest I could get slotted for. But I kind of want to hit my 7 and then stop there. I really just want to be a platoon sergeant. I've really enjoyed the past few years and working with the lower enlisted, but it's time for me to move up and see what, other challenges I can get into. Just ready to move up. So that's my goal. Done 10 years now. So
yeah, that's
got another 10 to go.
General Black has a good ring to it.
General Black.
I like that.
I like Platoon Sergeant Black.
Yeah. That's the title I'm going for. It sounds nice.
Do you want to yell at us real quick, like practice?
Yeah, give us your biggest grr. Look at his face. Oh.
Tell me I'm a piece of crap.
I think he needs to cut his hair, doesn't he, Black?
No, yeah, I wouldn't make it. You think my locks would get through?
What would they say to old Cromer with his lock?
I'd be pulling out of my trimmers that's been in my bag for 8 years and shaving it off forever.
Now hang on. What if I identified as something else?
No. We're not getting into that.
Sorry.
No, we're not going down that rabbit hole. All right, Black. So the reason why we have you on, obviously you had recent success, and I don't think we're gonna do like icebreakers and stuff because Black's not a guest; he's with us. You know, so let's just get into it. This podcast is gonna be a bonus episode. We're not gonna air it on your normal Thursday. So actually, I don't even know what day we're going to air this. So if you're listening to it, congratulations. We aired it.
It'll probably be a Tuesday. I'll try to get it out on Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
So next, who knows?
Today's the 26th.
I think it's May 2nd, I think, is the Tuesday.
Yeah, let's do it then.
We'll go with that. Yeah.
Okay. So like I was saying, Black had some recent success in Ohio, and we're gonna have a table talk about that and just kind of, figure out what was going on, how it went down, and you can tell the viewers and the listeners about your recent turkey success.
I do have one question for him, though.
Go for it.
So it's not really an icebreaker question, but how many bangs did you drink on your way to your disclosed hotel room?
I'll have you know, as much as I want to be endorsed by Bang, I unfortunately did not consume any on the way here.
Wow.
Switched to Red Bull.
That's respectable. I like Red Bull.
Red Bull gives you wings.
I like Red Bull.
I'm going to throw out a quick... Go ahead.
It's been a good switch up. It's been keeping me awake a whole lot more than the old bangs have. And I ain't got to run to the bathroom every hour.
It's definitely more concentrated. I'll agree with that. It's a little thicker than a bang.
All right, Black, let's get into it.
What'd you do last Saturday?
Well, last Saturday was opening day for Ohio season. Little background on the property. Years prior, I had not seen any turkeys really. Last year was actually the first time that I'd seen turkeys. The spot that I hunt was just overcrowded with coyotes. And me and Stevie have been really hitting those hard here. And we think we've got the population under control to a point. I was getting trail cam photos almost every night on the Wise Eye, about, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a night of coyotes just coming through. So now at this point in time, I might get 1 coyote picture every 3 days. So there was quite a few dogs. I mean, one day in the stand, I seen 9 coyotes. So if that says anything. So
That's a lot.
How many do you think you guys have killed off the property?
I think all together, 10 or 11.
Really?
A lot.
Yeah,
That's
off of just that one piece.
I have
one property.
I have one thing to say about coyotes in my personal life lately. I've seen more coyotes dead on 71 north and south. I've never seen, my whole life, I'd only ever seen 1 dead coyote on the road my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I've probably seen 4 or 5 on the highway dead. I've never seen coyotes on the highway before. So to me, Black, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that means the population is just exploding that much. Is it mating season right now? Is it mating season right now?
No, it's
What is it right now?
Right now, it's like the denning time. They've already
Yeah.
been bred. So now they're finding kids and starting to have their pups. Actually, it should
Interesting.
be having the pups right about now.
yeah.
Gotcha. So I was just wondering why the uptick was, and it probably was because some
Well,
breeding,
here's
but-
the thing, though. Correct me if I'm wrong, Black, but this would be my idea. Young males are getting pushed, maybe to find their own home ranges or whatever.
Sure.
Maybe
Well-
that already happened.
Yeah, that's already happened. I'd say a lot of the uptick of all the coyotes actually being hit right now is food. I mean, where do you see the most animals, dead in a concentrated area?
That's a good point.
Along highway. And they're going for the easiest meal right now. Instead of going out and hunting something, they can just go straight to, the highway,
That's a good
grab
point.
a snack, and go back.
Grab a snack.
Yeah. That'd be a stanky snack.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now that makes sense. Thanks for confirming.
All right, so let's go
Yeah.
back. Let's go back to the turkey hunting. So you killed, or excuse me, you and Stevie went and killed, let's say 10 for easy numbers, 10 coyotes off the property, and now you're seeing a lot more turkeys.
Yeah, I mean, there were just so many on like home coyotes, like that denned real close by and were there, majority of the time. They were always coming through there. So I think the turkeys really weren't hanging out there or didn't want to because they felt like they're easy pickings, which I'm sure they were.
Yeah, you can't
Especially
blame
with-
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing 9 at one time. I mean, if they work together as a pack, they could easily catch some turkeys. But last year, one day during bow season, I ended up having right around 30, 35 hens or something come by me. And that was my first indication
Wow.
that
Nice.
I'm actually doing something to help the turkey population in my area and for that property specifically. So that was like really good sign. And I was like, all right, well, maybe, I keep doing what I'm doing. They're going to keep coming back and showing up more often. So I stayed at it. We end up killing just since the first of the year, 3 on that property. And like I said, I'm down to 1 now that I'm seeing consistently, but like every 3 days, he just comes through and that's one time. That's it. He's not spending any time on a property.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't got any more daytime photos. So, rewind to 2 weeks ago, I started driving through the area and just kind of glassing a little bit, scouting. And I end up hanging up my Wise Eyes and I started getting pretty consistent turkey photos. And they were long beards and they were spending a lot of time in front of the cameras. So I went and moved on my cameras out onto the fields. And sure enough, it was every day. I was having all kinds of birds. I mean, 3-4 times a day. I mean, from morning till dark. So they were spending a ton of time on the property. And I think it was really because I took care of the coyote population in that area. So
Kudos to
That was
Black.
good.
Yeah.
No, that's
That was
awesome. That's something that we just had that.
Yeah.
It hasn't it hasn't aired yet, but we
it
had
will be by the time.
it will be. Well,
No,
This will
No,
air
it won't.
first.
So we had a podcast with the Simon brothers, not to give all that away, but we were basically just talking about the decline in turkey population. Coyotes got brought up quite a bit.
Yep.
But the raccoons were they
Raccoons
claim the coons are worse.
Were
than,
brought up.
than
But
coyotes.
I just like the fact that you did kill a few coyotes and the turkey population bounced and within a quick amount of time,
Yeah.
say within 2 or 3 years, turkey population was banging. So that's cool. Shoot some coyotes on your property if you want turkeys.
And the coons too. I have been taking care of some raccoons on there, but
Okay.
I'm not really putting an attention to them. But I don't think they really nest on my property, but I still want to do what I can to help them in that area.
Dude, how sweet would it be, Black, if they... Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but how sweet would it be if they legalized a coon season year-round, and you could just set that collar in the middle of the field, howl with like a coyote howl or something, and all them coons climb the trees, and then you just walk around and start pinking them.
Listen, I might put coyote hunting on a hold there for a minute.
Dude, how fun would that be, honestly?
So
we need to do something.
last night I went to roost some birds, and I'm just standing there in this cut field. Raccoon walked within 10 yards of me. Didn't even know I was there. And this was still plenty daylight out.
Off podcast or off camera.
Yeah.
You should have just
I should have,
them.
but yeah. I was just like, oh my goodness.
They're everywhere. They're a nuisance, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I really think that's one of the things that's really hurting
The nest
the
robbers.
population as
Yeah.
a whole.
Yeah.
And possums, too. Possums are also, I was reading a little study they did, and they said possums are another big killer on the turkey eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That also
There's
came
one
up.
of them.
Yep.
But yeah, anyhow, I ended up seeing those birds on camera, so I decided, spend a little bit more time glassing the fields, trying to figure out where they were going, where they were hanging out, and I ended up going and grabbing all my wise eyes and moving them to the field edges just to see if I could get a little bit better beat on where they were coming out, where they were strutting, kind of spending their time, and I ended up finding it, and I mean, it was unbelievable how many pictures I had every day in the same exact spot. So I thought for sure coming into opening day and Stevie calling me out, I didn't really want to shoot a bird there because, they just started coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, man, with one day to hunt, Stevie was saying something about getting his wife Bailey on a bird. And I mean, I was really torn on going out there to hunt. And I was really torn on it, but then I was like, well, I got one day. I'm going to give it a shot. What's one day going to hurt? And I'm getting so many birds on camera. And it wasn't just those 2 long beards. I was actually getting 6 toms and 3 to 4 jakes on camera. And I'm still getting 3.
Now he
every
tells
day.
us.
Yeah.
So they talked me into it. So it rolls around to opening day. And you guys know, pouring, of course. And I'm like, I've got one day to hunt. I'm going. And I told Stevie, I was like, I've got one day to go. You guys need to come with me if you're going, because I'm telling you, I'm going out regardless. So they end up going. Of course, at 5:30 they show up. We get out there about 6:30 after we hang out, load the truck up and everything. Get set up, and it's still completely dark because it's pouring on us as soon as we get out of the truck. And we walk over to the spot where actually, the camera was 5 yards from where we were sitting against a big oak tree, and threw up the umbrella for the camera, just for the camera.
Uh-huh.
It gets kind of funny because, we're sitting there just hating life. It's just pouring on us. Steve's the only one that's got anything dry going on over there. But the way the umbrella was hanging, it was just dripping on Bailey the whole time. And I totally forgot I packed 2 umbrellas. So I had a whole other umbrella in there that I didn't even use. And when I did realize it, and I told her, it was finally starting to slow down. She was so mad. She was so ready to go. But we were already soaked. It wouldn't have done us any good.
Right.
Classic Ohio, man. I tell you what. Ohio is like, I've been working outside the last couple weeks. And dude, the one day when it snowed the other day, like when you sent that Snapchat,
It was
and you're like, screw Ohio when you were, what was that, Monday? Yeah.
Yeah,
Had to be
Monday.
I was working from home.
I literally, dude, it sleeted, snowed, and then it'd be sunshine.
Yeah.
And then it sleeted, snowed, sunshine. Like 6 different times.
We got a bunch of hail that day, too.
Yeah.
Over
I
lunchtime.
know. I was in a lift, hiding. Classic Ohio. All right. Sorry, Black.
Yes.
I went down that.
Oh, you're right. So, we were sitting there and getting poured on. we had a hen come in at 7 o'clock. She just came straight up the hill. And I was just kind of blind calling about every 15, 20 minutes. And I looked over and I just seen a head come up. Then she did a small yelp and clucked a couple times. I was like, there's a bird coming in. And told Stevie and Bailey to get ready because this hen coming in, she's already talking. I'm like, all right, there might be something, behind her. There wasn't, but I mean, I was certain that, something could have been back there.
Mm-hmm.
She came right into the decoy. She started getting fired up. I kind of cut at her a little bit. And the mic, of course, just poured on, so no audio. As she's over there just talking up a storm, it was actually really cool, like how fired up she was getting. I actually thought she was going to attack that one hen decoy when she was coming in. And about that time, Bailey looked over and she's like, I think I heard a gobble down the bottom. I was like, maybe, you never know. So then I ended up hearing one, and then we heard one more. And then it was just dead. We didn't have nothing in front of us for almost an hour, and it's still pouring. So there was 2 birds end up coming from across the road. There's some pine trees, kind of a pine block that we're looking across the hayfield, and there's a kind of a pine block across the road. And we see them at the furthest end of the field, and it's like 800 yards to the other end of the field. And then we see them coming across. I mean, they look like the size of crows at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But we seen 2 birds. I was like, let's just hang out. They might come in. Lost sight of them. There's kind of a small swale, a low spot in the field that they end up working all the way down to us. At that same time, I decided I was going to go look down in the bottom field. I just had to know because I heard those birds gobble. I'm like, you guys stay here. I'm just going to walk down here and take a look. Well, as soon as I get up, I take maybe, 15, 20 steps. Stevie goes, hey, there's 4 birds coming into the field. So I turn around. I start creeping real slow because these birds are only probably 100 yards from us, and they're like in direct sight of me. So I end up sneaking back slow as I could. It took forever. Finally got sat down, and those birds, they were on the left-hand side of the field. They went back under, and couldn't really get any footage of them because they just stepped out and backed in.
No, you're good, Matt.
I burped.
Matt just had a stomach issue over here. You're good. Keep going.
My bad.
Not worth stopping for, trust me.
It was uncontrollable. It just came from the stomach.
So the birds kind of went back to the left-hand side, and we couldn't see them anymore. And about that time, 3 hens came up over the hill. And I could get those birds because Stevie's like, I think they were toms. I think I seen beards. So I started calling a little bit, and then we ended up started getting gobbles over and over again. Of course, can't hear it because we didn't realize that the mic is wet and not working correctly. So they're just gobbling over the hill, and they gobbled probably 20, 25 times. And then finally, those hens started opening up their wings, trying to dry off because the rain finally quit. They start opening their wings, and I started getting the birds even more fired up. And I was like, well, those birds are going to be moving in here soon because every time they open their wings, those birds would gobble.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, those birds step out, and we finally see them, and it's...
No, we lost you.
Sorry, getting a phone call.
Yep, no worries.
You guys can hear me still?
Yep,
You're good.
Yep.
Yeah, so these 2 birds come in. They're just strutting. I mean, one bird is just looking good, as big as he is, and strutting like crazy. Well, his hens are up on top of the hill, and they kind of drop off the back of the hill. As soon as those birds start walking at him, it kind of spooks them a little bit. I think those hens just, are going off to do their own thing, and they don't want to be bothered. So those toms follow right back behind them. They get up on top of the hill, and I mean, we watched them for 20 minutes just standing there strutting, and we're just drooling. I'm doing every call in the book. I'm switching strikers. I'm grabbing different calls. Cannot get these birds to really pay us any mind. And then at one point, they're just about to crest over the hill, and the biggest bird turns and starts walking towards us. I thought, oh, okay, all right, maybe the other one's going to go mess with those other hens, and he's got to come over here and find out. He took 5 steps towards us, and then turned back around and walked.
They smelled you.
Black didn't sound that good. He said,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was trying to whisper sweet nothings, and he wanted no part of it. He had two beautiful hands to go.
Yeah, he had the live thing.
Sorry.
He's popular. Black's just
Man, you keep
popular.
keep getting phone calls, Black.
Poor guy. So yeah, as soon as those birds turn around and start walking over the hill, I'm like, I look over at them. I'm like, if those birds go over that hill, I said, it's a pretty steep hill. As soon as they step over the side of it, I'm like, we could get a shot. And Bailey's like, I'm freezing. We got to do something. I was like, all right, let's get up and do it. And I said, what's the worst that can happen? I was like, they weren't coming this way anyhow. And at this point in time, it's about 10:30, and I wouldn't get pictures of them until almost 2 in the afternoon at that point in time. And during the first, 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
So I knew we had to make something happen before noon. So I'm like, all right, well, get your stuff, let's go. So we started walking across the hayfield, hit the corner that was right across from us, probably 70 yards from us. And it kind of bumps out. It's a little finger. So we walk around the back side of it, and the hill's right there. I mean, like 25 yards, the top of the hill is right there. And as soon as I get on the end of that little finger that bumps out, I look up and I see the bird strutting right on top of it. That's when I drop and I tell him, stop. So that bird's right there. I was be quiet. And I was trying to get Bailey to crawl up at that point in time because I thought that bird might come back towards us. Well, I keep looking and I see him go off the other side. So I'm like, well, we got to make this happen before they go down in the bottom in the woods. So we walk out around the corner, and the hill's just high enough it's over our heads. So we take a few steps, and we're crouched down, trying to find that edge of the hill where we can actually stand up and see over it, and get Bailey up there. Me and Stevie are trying to talk her through it, and it was a very high stressful situation, and I knew she was feeling it at that point in time because we're like, all right, we're close enough. We can stand up. We're like, stand up and just shoot. So as soon as you see his head, I said, pull the trigger. Just stand up. So she's like, okay. Then she stands up and looks, and the bird's actually looking at her, and she just pops back in, and I see him. I'm like, no, stand him.
Yeah.
Off and shoot. And she was pretty worked up at this point in time because now she's seen the bird. So she gets over there and she gets safety off. And I was like, just pull up. And I said, put her on his head and pull the trigger. The birds were only 25 yards at that point in time. Well, she kind of sits up. That bird was in full strut at this point in time, facing us. And then he kind of drops his tail feathers and kind of perks his head up.
Telescopes.
And as soon as that happens, you see his head go down, and she pulls a trigger, and you just see all this hay, the grass,
dirt, yeah.
scuff up, everything just scuff up. I'm like, oh no! She I'm like, she just shot the edge of the hill. Like, she didn't step up high enough. So I take a few steps up. I'm like, well, maybe I can, if he's just wounded or something, I can pick up another shot. And as soon as I step up, he's crumpled. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, I'm gonna try and double. And I look over and I see a bird standing there. I was like, all right, where's the beard? I see a beard. I'm like, all right, pulled the trigger and dropped him. At that point in time, it was just chaos because now Bailey's got her first bird. I just shot this one, so we just doubled up. So it's awesome. My bird, not completely done yet, so I take off running, get on him. And I'm like, dang, I just shot a Jake. I was kind of upset with myself. I was like, dang, I shot next year's, long beard, and run down to him. And as I'm getting on his head, standing on it, I look down. I'm like, it's a long beard. Yes. I was so pumped at that point in time. I look over. I'm like, I can't believe you just hit that bird, Bailey. It was amazing. It was the luckiest shot I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I
it
mean,
was awesome.
Coming from Black's mouth, like 100%. We're not gonna, this Bailey's first bird, and anybody out there that like wants to dog on that, like, think back to like when it was your first time hunting,
Yeah.
you know? Like she may be an older, I'm going to say like an older person, and some people may think like, oh, well, that wasn't, you know, it's her first bird. She got
It's
excited.
still the excitement part.
Exactly. I've seen grown men make worse shots. So it's like, but Black said it exactly right. Like when I was editing that video and I was watching, and then I want to touch base on that. If anybody wants to watch this, we have it on our YouTube channel. I think it's like woman shoots first turkey or something like that. And when I was editing it, I'm like, how in the world did she kill that bird? Literally 90, and I'm not exaggerating, 95 to 99% of those BBs hit the dirt in my mind. Correct me if I'm wrong, Black. Like there's, like, I don't know how she killed that thing.
There was like 4 or 5 pellets in its actual head, not like in neck. There was only 5 BBs right in his noggin. Like a lot of those BBs got stopped by the dirt or ricocheted off. I'm not really sure where it all went, but a majority of them went inside that hill. And there's a few that slipped through. I don't know if the BBs beforehand burned a hole through the dirt and they just.
Dude, how funny would that be? If the first BBs cleared like a lane for the second or the back half of the, what are you gonna call it? Shotgun shell, the shot pattern, like the back pattern goes through the.
If you watch the video and slow it down, you can see the wad hit the hill.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, really?
I seen that when I was editing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it was unbelievable. Like lucky, and I mean, it was a godsend for sure because I was worried when I ran up to look, and it was just crumbled.
well, if you just watch the video, I mean, you just see like from the rain and stuff and the grass just fly up from the dirt and you're like, yeah, it's a clean miss. And then you step up and it goes to the GoPro footage and you can see the bird flopping then. And it's just like,
yeah,
wow.
In my mind, yeah, I'm glad that it was her first bird and her first opportunity. And I'm glad that she got the bird.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if it would have went the other direction, especially with sitting out in the rain, not really hearing gobbles, terrible opportunity. Like you had such high expectations because of the cameras. And you don't see anything, you don't hear anything until they're out in the middle of the field, but they're at 800 yards, and then you got to go spot and stalk them. I think the opportunity, if she wouldn't have killed, would have been very bad for her future turkey hunting. Because I know she's been out for the last 2 or 3 years, at least, with Stevie kind of running around.
I think 4 years.
4 years.
She's been going at it and just never had like a real opportunity to actually get a shot on one.
Yeah.
So that's why Stevie real stressed about getting her one. I'm super happy to be a part of it because, like, afterwards, she was like, you know, finally the happiness set in. She wasn't cold anymore. And she's like, you know what? That was really fun. And she's like, I mean, if I didn't kill, like, this year, she goes, I don't know if I would have ever went again. She goes, I just never, you know, really had an opportunity before. And she was like, this is actually a lot of fun. It's kind of warm out. She's like, this is the kind of hunting I like. I'm like,
After you dry it off.
you know?
Yeah.
It was a good experience. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
For one day, I wouldn't change a thing because, I mean, that was the luckiest one day I've ever had, just being able to go out.
Yeah.
And I mean, besides last year, I mean, at opening day too, it was Stevie getting a double. That was cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Sweet. Why don't you talk a little bit about the specs of the birds, like how I'm sure you measured the beard, spurs.
So they both beards exactly 10 inches long.
Good.
I don't know if these birds were hanging out together all the time. Whenever I got pictures, they were always together. Just I don't know if they were just good buddies, best friends, whatever, or if they were
died.
They went down together.
They had a bromance going on for sure.
I won't go out. I won't leave without you.
Well, the other one did really stick around. Like Black popped over the hill, and he's just like, but.
Anyways.
So like I don't know if they're hatchlings together or what, but they were identical. I mean, Bailey's spurs on her bird were maybe a 16th of an inch longer than mine. So mine were an inch. So hers are just slightly longer than that by an inch and a 16th, but 10-inch beards. I didn't weigh them. Unfortunately, didn't have a scale on hand.
What would you guess?
And,
probably, they look pretty big, 20, 22 pounders probably.
I would say her bird was probably 24.
Really?
Mine was probably 22.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, good sized birds. But like I said, they were real identical. I mean, hers definitely had a bigger fan on it too. I mean, it was just, she definitely got the bigger one. She showed me up for sure. but I'm glad she did
Good.
because
Good.
it was awesome.
Good. Well, none of us have had much luck turkey hunting, but glad Black went out for one day and showed us how to do it.
Yeah.
Well, did you pick up that turkey spread from the Duck Commander guys or something? You had about 18 turkey decoys out there.
Oh, yeah. That's just my collection over the years.
How many decoys do you seriously have? There's probably 6 or 7, right?
Yeah.
I have 5. I think 2 of those were Stevie's.
Gotcha.
I always like putting out a bigger flock of hens with a Jake, because at that point in time, if a Longbeard looks over and sees a Jake and half strut, he's like, what is he doing with all these ladies?
Right.
Yeah.
I've always felt like I can get them more fired up and come in at that point in time. So I've had better luck doing that the past few years. So that's what I decided to do. And
Yeah.
it almost worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there weren't live decoys out there showing me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've never had much luck over decoys, but I know some guys have, and I know you have, especially Black. I've never had much
I'd like
luck.
to shoot. It'd be fun to do a bow hunt out of a blind with decoys.
Not to be like fanboy and Chris B by all means, but did you see that video of
Nope.
his?
Didn't see it.
Oh my
Did he cut its head off?
gosh, dude. It is the most beautiful footage.
Yeah.
I think Matthews might have posted it. Actually, I seen it today on social media.
I didn't see
He
it.
draws back. He's sitting down. He draws back. He's got that big head
Yeah.
cutter broadhead on,
Guillotine.
and the
Yes.
turkey's the tom's sizing up to a decoy, and then slow motion, boom, shot breaks, and you see he's got big foo feathers on. You see that arrow just, and it just cuts it right off.
That's pretty cool.
I'm like, dude, I wish. But Easterns around us, I think he was out west, Merriam or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, them Easterns around us,
yeah.
dude, you ain't drawing your
too
bow back.
skittish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have tried for 2 years. I tried hunting with my bow. I gave up. There's no, you can get them coming in, but unless you hunt out of a blind,
Yeah.
They catch movement.
dude, they see that movement and they're gone.
Yeah.
They're just,
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I haven't tried with a bow, but just moving around and stuff.
dude, I always say this because I think our whitetails are the same way. Northeastern Ohio, it's too pressured. There is too many hunters in our area, and you can't draw on a turkey.
Yeah.
There's probably guys out there that are like, oh, I do it every year. Well, come show me a thing or two because I've tried. I've had them in range, and you get
I do it on public land.
you get 3/4 of the way
and
down, and they just boom, they see you, and then
Yeah.
gone.
No, it's because you have to be at full draw before they come in.
Oh yeah,
And you have to hold it.
because I'm sitting over a decoy spread and I'm gonna hold it for 6 hours. Maybe that's the problem. I'm not. Most of them archery kills are always on a field edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I don't hunt that way.
definitely.
Yeah.
I think I might next year try and give it a try.
Yeah.
If I had the same amount of birds that I do now, I think next year I think I'm gonna give it a try because I've never been able to accomplish it. I've shot one Longbeard with my bow during
The
fall
the
season.
fall season, yeah.
but that's it. I've never got to do it in the spring, so it's kind of one of my things to do. And if I get lucky enough to have the same amount of birds, or if not more, next year, that's the old Jakes make it, and that keeps coyotes down.
Yeah.
I might give it a try.
Yeah.
I would give it a shot for sure.
Well,
See if I'll just go after him with my bare hands. You
There
know?
you go. Throwing knives.
ninja. I was gonna say ninja stars.
Yeah.
Just chuck them at him. Well, I'd say for anybody that's interested, I think Kevin, myself, and Jerry Jarrett, aka Jerry. We call him Jerry. I think we're going out to maybe southern-ish Ohio on some public,
Yep.
tentatively,
Yep.
depending on weather and stuff.
Weather. Yeah.
Not this weekend.
I was gonna say it looks like a lot of rain again.
Oh,
this
is it?
weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd prefer if we're, and I think after this
Yeah,
weekend we can do all day then too.
I'm not driving 4 hours to get poured on.
No.
Well,
Maybe the weather's different down south, though. Let's look at it.
We'll
Take
have
a
to
at
look.
it.
I
We'll
do
look.
want to go ridge running. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But so that's the plan, depending on weather. I do have a Kentucky tag. It's kind of an impulse buy because I knew I was going to be I knew I was going to be bow hunting, and it's only $85. And I know that $85 sounds like a lot, but for an out-of-state hunt,
That's not too
it's
bad.
really cheap. So I bought that, and I knew I was already going to have my license for whitetail season. So like I'll probably go down there, probably another weekend to justify that. So maybe if Shayna doesn't kill me, if my wife doesn't kill me, I might go this weekend depending on what the weather's doing.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, if it's not raining down there, you might as well go.
I know if it's not raining, I might as well go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might as well.
Because seriously, like from Friday through Monday or something here, it looks like down.
Because like what Friday we're supposed to get like an inch,
inch.
right?
90% chance is what I said.
And it's like they're calling for a lot.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, Black, go ahead.
I said, get down there and kill one then.
Yeah, I know. Quick story. I kind of want to touch base on it because I didn't get much film. I filmed a lot, but it wasn't enough to like make an episode. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have any action. Nobody's gonna
Right.
watch us just
Right.
calling and talking and stuff. So it's like we get way back in there. I mean, I don't even know if I told Cromer this or you, Kevin.
I don't
even.
know anything about
Yeah.
it.
I think I told Black. We were on the phone. So like we get way back in there, and I mean, dude, I'm telling you, we're like 2 miles back in. I'm not joking. Like we got there at like 4:30 in the morning, and Hunter's like, "All right, we're gonna be hiking." I'm like, "Dude, come on, man! I'm out of shape, fat, and old." Oh well. So I mean, I'll do that for a whitetail, but for a turkey, come on, man. So we get all the way back there, and we get to where we want to get, and it's pitch black, and it was overcast. It was like a little bit of drizzle, but it wasn't really raining very bad. It's supposed to clear up in the morning, and it was just getting to the point where you could look up in the sky and you could see the foliage, and like the sky was just starting to get color to it. So like you could see the leaves and stuff. All of a sudden we hear boom.
Oh my.
Dude, it's like an hour before legal. We hear boom, and it's close. It's like 200 yards behind us.
Oh, wow.
And I told Hunter, I'm like, well, there goes our turkey. So I mean, he's in, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't get into this, but
Yeah,
like,
just
yeah,
I wouldn't.
yeah. So like we obviously we can't do anything about it. So it's
On
like
public,
you know,
too.
it's on public land, and then like unless we go in there and chase the guy out, but it's like at that point in time, it's pitch black. He's gonna see us coming.
Could
You know,
be dangerous.
yeah, exactly. And
He has a weapon.
to be honest, like you don't know what that guy's up to.
Yeah.
So we elected to just kind of sit there and we figured there'd be more birds. So classic public land. So this guy, there's like a ridge road that we walked in. We kind of met at this like hub where a bunch of other ridges dumped down. We were actually in the bottom, but he said that the birds kind of roosted like 3/4 of the way up, and where we were at, he said you could hear a lot of different ridges, which once it got daylight, they would have been a good spot if they were gobbling. So we're sitting there, and I'm like, hey, there's a headlamp coming. And he's like, I'll take care of it. I'm like, you want me to go down there with you? He's like, nah. He's like, I'll take care of it. So he goes down there and he tells this guy, and Hunter's telling me this story, of course, because I wasn't with him. He's like, yeah, I told the guy that there's two of us up here, we were going to be hunting. And the guy asked us where we were hunting, and he's like, well, we're just kind of sitting down here in the bottom, and depending on where we hear birds, that's kind of where we're going to go. He's like, we kind of got here real early. Matt's from out of state, The guy just says, okay, well, I'll go over here, and like points the opposite direction. The dude walks 50 yards in that direction, turns with his headlamp still on, and just walks to exactly where we wanted to go. Just walk. He like, okay, guys, I'll go over there. Walks 50 yards away from us, turns, and like we can see his headlight in the woods. He just turns, doesn't give two craps about where we wanted to hunt, and just goes. And he goes like 200 yards, and we see him sit down and shut his light off.
And he went right to where you guys were hoping to go.
Right
probably.
where Hunter thought that the birds would be. Obviously, he either roosted birds or he knew that there was birds in the area. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So
Black say what you're gonna say.
I said, oh, they're never going to know. Just turn around and walk up.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
With the headlamp on.
So like, man, dude, we were in disbelief.
That's comical.
We're sitting there, and Hunter's like, don't worry. I told him that, you know, we were hunting and at that point in time, he was walking away from us. I'm like, cool. You know, that's a good dude right there, respecting us. As soon as I said that, shunk, hard right.
Do you think, was it light enough that he thought like, oh, I don't have my headlamp on, like they won't see me? It was still dark enough where you needed a headlamp.
This was like 5:45-ish where, and normally like birds would probably just start to gobble, but with that overcast,
it was still pretty dark.
It was still really dark. Gosh.
This is what happened. The guy was like, all right, I'll walk away. And that 50 yards, he was thinking to himself the entire time, why am I letting two guys on public land tell me where to go hunt? And he just turned around and went right back to where he was going to.
But here's the thing. That's why people get, like, that's why the bad rap happens in public. Like, don't be that guy, you know? Whether or not you know there's birds there, if somebody beat you to the spot, should have got up earlier.
Get up earlier. Because, like, during duck season and stuff, me and Jarrett are at some spots, like, hours before anybody else even shows up, just so we can get to that spot and hope that, you know, it's to ourselves. You know, it's not our spot, but, like, hopefully somebody's respectable enough to go to a different spot in the swamp or something like that. Because I pulled up to a parking lot before and there's trucks there. I'll go to a different spot because I don't want to be stepping on their toes or right on top of them or anything else.
Yeah. And it was just to go back on the story of Kentucky. So somebody shot a bird on the roost hours before legal. We had that guy sneak in. We didn't hear any gobbles and we hunted from like, I shouldn't say hunted. We were in the woods from like 4 a.m. to I left at I think 4. So we left at like 3:30 because in Kentucky you can hunt all day long, the whole season. So we hunted till like 3:30 and we went to 2 or 3 different public lands. Never heard a bird.
And that was their opening day as well, right?
No, that was their second weekend.
Okay.
The last weekend was their opener.
Oh, gotcha.
So just one of those things, man.
Yeah.
But you know,
that's hunting for you, though.
It was a good experience, though. Him and I hiked down this, like, dude. He's like, let's go down to this bottom. He's like, maybe they're in the bottoms. And, dude, I'm looking down this, like, just drop off cliff. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going down there. Because, like, going down's easy. You got to get back out of that thing.
It's tough.
He's like, oh, we'll just take the bottom to the road. And he pulls up his Onyx and he's like, yeah, let's do that. And I'm like, I drove 4 hours. I'm like, go down there, Matt. We dropped down in there. And I'm like, at least I'll find deer sign. I'll find some hub scrapes. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. We dropped down in there. There's no deer sign. There's no turkey sign. There's a tree stand that I found. And then I walked, I think a mile out and then had to climb this rock bluff that was like straight up because it met to the road. But where it met to the road was straight up.
Different elevation between the road and that. Yeah.
I was a little bit upset.
Hey, that 70-day challenge started right then, huh?
I already failed it if that was the case. that was last weekend. I think the 2 plates of macaroni and
upstairs
and bacon and chicken that we just ate and some couple of breadsticks failed that one, and the 2 Arnie's that I'm drinking.
The old diet's going real good, Matty.
Yeah, I keep telling myself every day, like, Matt, you need to lose weight, because I literally look at myself on this podcast and I'm like, what did you get yourself into? I used to be like so fit and like could run like miles. I can't even walk a mile.
Now I can't even go down a ridge to chase a turkey.
If it was a whitetail, I would have done it.
Yep.
Turkeys, they're just not my cup of tea.
Well, I went out opening morning. After the rain, I wasn't near as brave as what Black and them were. I didn't have an umbrella, I guess. But we got out there around 9 o'clock or so. And
Finish story, Kevin.
After the rain kind of stopped, and then we heard 2 birds light up, but the one started gobbling like right at 11:45 or so. So we tried to close the gap and just ran out of time, really. So we didn't push the issue anymore, and we just kind of got out of there, so we didn't spook them.
Yeah.
And then today I took off work for half a day, and they were hammering on the limb.
That's exciting.
It was exciting.
At least they were talking this morning. That's good.
And one around 9 o'clock was on the property I was on, and he just kind of shut up then, and it was just pretty thick. Couldn't find him.
Yeah.
So did some walking around, found a little shed and a couple little mushrooms. So
yeah.
It was a fun time.
Saw some mushrooms. Yeah.
And
Yummy.
I seen a buck with a full rack on.
You sent that video. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Like a nice...
Like not that small.
Like probably a decent little 3-year-old, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we could drop it in the. Sorry if everybody was watching the video and saw me on my phone. It's almost time for our next podcast.
Okay.
It's like 8:25.
Okay.
So we're gonna wrap this up, and I enjoyed that, Black. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank.
But studying, I needed a break anyhow.
Yeah. So you go back to studying, and thanks for all your service in the military. And I know that you sacrifice a lot for that, and I know that it's we can sit here and do this because of guys like you, and
Yes.
I appreciate that a lot.
Appreciate it, fellas.
Yep. All right, Kev, let's wrap this up so we can get to our next one.
Alrighty, thanks, Black, and congratulations on your only day to hunt a bird and capitalized on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Already doesn't matter what you've done in the past, you can always be born again, and born again is out.
Peace.